be a significant pole in the universe of AI going forward.
India is walking tall, India's stature is different, India's voice is being heard.
And the biggest newsmakers.
This is just a start, Tokyo.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Gravitas with me, Molly Campaign. Here's a look at what's lined up for you on the show tonight. If you are watching this show from India, here's a story that will make your blood boil. An Indian Army colonel, a major and a police official were killed in an encounter that broke out between security forces and terrorists in Anantnag district of Jammu and Kashmir. And if you have been following this story, you might have come across the heartbreaking visuals of a retired police officer laying a wreath on the body of his son, who lost his life in the encounter. Those visuals are enough to rile up every Indian. And tonight we ask, how will India avenge the sacrifice of its heroes? We get to the latest on the Anantnag encounter and ask, how will India react? Also on the show for you tonight, years since the COVID-19 pandemic started wreaking havoc around the world, a series of questions remain over the origins. Did the CIA protect China? Is the latest one. We tell you what a whistleblower has said. We also tell you all about Mexico's alien corpses and the debate surrounding them. We ask for justice for Jaahnavi Kandula as outrage continues to grow over the deaths of the Indian student and the way her death was mocked by a US police officer. We ask, where is the accountability? What happened with a television reporter as she was groped on live television has invited angry reactions from the world over. Hashtag Call Them Out is a Gravitas campaign, and we invite you to participate, share your thoughts as we tell you more about what happened. It's time to call out every such act that violates a woman's safety. A colonel, a major, and a deputy superintendent of police. These are the ranks of the three bravehearts who were martyred on Wednesday afternoon. It's been 24 hours and the stories of their valor have moved every Indian. The story of their indomitable spirit. The story of their personal sacrifice. These are the three brave hearts we are talking about. Colonel Manpreet Singh, Major Ashish Dhonchak, and Deputy Superintendent of Police Humayun Bhatt. These three officers lost their lives in an encounter in Jammu and Kashmir's Anantnag district. They were leading troops from the front after they had gone to search for terrorists based on specific intelligence, and immediately after they were martyred, stories of the three brave hearts went viral on the internet. People from all walks of life paid tribute to their sacrifice, saluting their service to the nation. Colonel Manpreet Singh belonged to the 19 Rashtriya Rifles. He was also the commanding officer of the battalion. He hailed from Bharonijan, a small village in Punjab on the outskirts of Chandigarh, a highly decorated officer of the Indian Army. He had completed 17 years of service. In the year 2021, he was decorated with the Sena Medal for gallantry. His tenure in Kashmir was about to end in 4 months. He is survived by his mother, his wife, and 2 children, a 6-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter. His father, who died a few years ago, was also a retired Indian Army veteran. Major Ashish Dhonchak was a resident of Panipat, Haryana. He was decorated with the Sena Medal on August 11 this year. He was the only son. He is a retired NFL clerk father and had 3 sisters. He's also survived by his wife and a 5-year-old daughter. Reports say his family currently lives in a rented house. He was supposed to inaugurate a new home which his father had built in Panipat. Humayun Bhatt had been serving as DSP in Jammu and Kashmir Police since 3 years. He was the son of a retired Inspector General of Jammu and Kashmir Police, Ghulam Hassan Bhatt. He got married just last year and is survived by his wife and a 2-month-old daughter. Last evening, a wreath-laying ceremony was held for Humayun Bhatt. It was attended by the Lieutenant General of Kashmir. His father, former Inspector General Ghulam Hassan Bhatt, also laid a floral wreath on the mortal remains of his son. And his composure while doing so was exemplary and heartbreaking. Who was behind this attack? The banned Resistance Front. This group is believed to be a shadow group of the Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Toiba. And officials say they were the same set of terrorists who had carried out an attack on army personnel on the 4th of August. The Kashmir Zone Police saying they are on the hunt for the terrorists concerned. The army and the Jammu and Kashmir Police have promised to avenge the deaths of our bravehearts. That said, nabbing the terrorists involved in the attack may only solve the problem partially. It will only be a temporary fix. If we are to really honor these brave hearts, India will have to tackle the root cause of the problem. It will have to take on the real culprit, and that is Pakistan. The presence of LET camps in Pakistan is no secret. Neither is the financing of terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir by Islamabad. Pulverizing these camps, breaking the chain of financing and call will go a long way in ensuring that no Indian soldiers or police officer's family has to go through the tragedy that has befallen the families of Colonel Manpreet Singh, Major Ashish Dhonchak and Deputy SP Humayun Bhatt. And as for Pakistan, this story has only proven that Pakistan just cannot live at peace, no matter what crisis it's in, no matter how cash-strapped it really is, and no matter how dysfunctional it gets. The country just cannot live at peace. I mean, Pakistan is currently facing a concoction of miseries, a series of overlapping crises, societal, political, economical, constitutional. Yet, Pakistan remains relentless in the export of terrorism. It remains relentless in keeping the border unstable. It remains relentless in the pursuit of its Kashmir obsession, even if it comes at the expense of its own survival. Just have a look at the state of affairs in the country. The economy is in the ICU. We've been telling you about this. Food prices are at astronomical levels. The currency is in free fall. Forex reserves have depleted. The national debt has never been higher. Even terror attacks within Pakistan have risen in number. Yet the country remains obsessed with pushing terror into India. And why just India for that matter? You see, Pakistan's relations with almost every neighbour are on the rocks, be it Afghanistan, Iran. Let's start with the UAE, for example. A few days ago, it became a member of the mega India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. The deal was signed during the G20 summit in New Delhi, remember? And immediately after the announcement, the UAE's Minister of Interior put out this tweet. It showed the route which will make up the corridor. Just look carefully. The map depicts the correct map of India, and this has rattled many Pakistanis. So much so that Pakistan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs even issued a statement regarding this. Let me just quote what it says. Our position on the Jammu and Kashmir dispute is very clear. The erstwhile princely state of Jammu and Kashmir is an internationally recognized disputed territory whose final disposition is to be made in accordance with the relevant UN Security Council. We hope that our international partners will pay due attention to these facts. I just want to stress on the line that stayed with me. We hope that our international partners will pay due attention to these facts. What facts? The fact that Pakistan has illegally occupied parts of Kashmir? What's even more interesting here is how rattled Islamabad was after the UAE's decision to show the correct map of India. Clearly, not all is well between these two countries. And then we have Iran. Last month, a multi-billion-dollar gas pipeline project between Pakistan and Iran was halted. Islamabad, in fact, issued a notice to Iran formally suspending its contractual obligations. And reports say this was apparently done under pressure from the United States, which has imposed sanctions on Iran due to its nuclear program. And what's worse, there are now reports saying that Pakistan will have to pay an $18 billion penalty for halting the project. And lastly, we have Afghanistan, where the Taliban are proving to be a big challenge for the Pakistani state. Reports say Taliban fighters are joining the Tehreek-e-Taliban in huge numbers. Now, for the unversed, the TTP is a terror outfit which seeks to enforce Sharia in Pakistan. It seems it now has the Taliban's blessings for its operations. And the Taliban is also keeping the border consistently tense. Just on the 6th of September, there were clashes at the Torkham border checkpoint. Taliban and Pakistani forces exchanged fire, leading to the border crossing getting shut. And what was the trigger for the clashes, you ask? The installation of a new security checkpost. It has been 8 days and the border remains shut. The Taliban are blaming Pakistan for the closure, reminding it that it cannot impose its will on Kabul. So clearly, it's not just India, but a host of other countries that are slowly becoming fed up with Pakistan, that are slowly but certainly drifting apart from the country. So it's time the leaders of Pakistan and the Pakistan army reflect and introspect, although we doubt if they are even capable of doing so. Did the CIA help China cover up the origin of the Wuhan virus? Did the American spy agency bribe analysts to say that COVID-19 did not come from Wuhan? A whistleblower has made a startling claim, choosing to remain anonymous while sharing claims with the US Congress. And if these claims hold true, they spin a complex web of lies and conspiracy, especially about a puzzle that has gripped the entire world's attention for the past few years. I'm talking about the origins of the COVID-19 virus, a virus that brought the entire world to a standstill. This story is about alleged hush money paid by the American spy agency to its own pandemic analysts. Let me break this down for you. The Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, says that they are looking into it. Even the US Congress is investigating the claims. 6 CIA analysts on the COVID-19 discovery team were allegedly given a significant monetary incentive, meaning that they were bribed, allegedly, to report that the 2019 outbreak of the coronavirus did not originate at a laboratory. In fact, the Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence received the new and concerning whistleblower testimony. They received it from a person described as a multi-decade senior-level current agency officer. And the Central Intelligence Agency, or the CIA, publicly acknowledged its ongoing inquiry into these claims. And this development raises suspicion of potential misconduct, as even the United States Congress has launched its own investigation into these allegations. Specifically, it has come to light that 6 CIA analysts, as per reports, belonging to the COVID-19 discovery team, allegedly received a significant financial incentive. And this suggests a possible act of bribery aimed at influencing their findings to support the assertion that the 2019 coronavirus outbreak did not originate from a laboratory. The Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence have both received this new and concerning whistleblower testimony. The whistleblower has been described, like I said, as a senior-level agency officer with a multi-decade history within the organization. Now, according to the whistleblower, the CIA had 7 officers on the COVID-19 discovery team, and at the end of their investigation, what happened was that 6 of the 7 officers believed that the intelligence they gathered had enough to point to a low confidence assessment that COVID-19 did in fact originate in a lab in Wuhan in China. However, the 7th member, the senior most on the team, believed that it evolved naturally. And so then it has been claimed 6 of the officers were given a significant monetary incentive to change their position. That's what the whistleblower has claimed. The CIA ultimately refused to make an assessment even with low confidence. So how has the CIA now reacted to these serious allegations? As mentioned earlier, the CIA is looking into these allegations of hush money. In fact, the CIA is investigating if the pandemic analysts were paid off to alter their stance, to shift their position about where the virus actually came from. However, it's important to note here, the CIA has said it does not pay its analysts to reach a particular conclusion. The entire incident basically is the latest in the saga over the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. And if that wasn't complicated enough, here's what else you should know. It's also part of an ongoing effort by the Republicans, a part of the efforts to find proof suggesting that COVID-19 origins have been buried by a conspiratorial cover-up. Remember, in June, the U.S. intelligence community said that its multiple agencies could not arrive at a consensus about where the virus came from. 4 elements, quote-unquote, believed that it was most likely caused by natural exposure to an animal infected with it or a close progenitor virus, while only 1 thought that it was a lab-associated incident. Now, both the Chinese government as well as the U.S. authorities, who, by the way, were partly involved in funding the research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, had categorically denied the possibility of a lab leak. Any mention of COVID-19 as man-made was even banned on most social media as misinformation. That is until May 2021. That policy was suddenly reversed. And then, in July this year, the US suspended federal funding to the Wuhan Institute. Why? For failing to provide documents related to concerns over biosafety protocol violations at the facility, something that has faced questions for a while now. That action also came after months of review. They found that the Wuhan Institute was not following regulations. The virus that causes COVID-19 was first detected in Wuhan in late 2019. The World Health Organization declared it a pandemic in March 2020. More than 770 million have been affected by it. Over 6.9 million have lost their lives. But till now, its exact origin and how it came to affect humans remains unknown. And before I bring you this next story, let me ask you this. Are you a believer or are you a skeptic? Because if Steven Spielberg's E.T. is among your favorite movies, then here's a story that will make your jaw drop. It's the notion that we are not alone in this vast universe. In fact, an idea passionately championed by Mexican journalist and ufologist Jaime Maussan. He believes in the existence of extraterrestrial life, and he, in fact, has backed his claim with proof. Proof, he claims, of actual remains of what he believes are alien beings. But is it real, or is it a part of an elaborate hoax? Let's look into it. This is how things panned out. This past Tuesday, a truly extraordinary event unfolded in the chambers of Mexico City's Congress. Typically a venue that's reserved for serious legislative matters, it played host to a spectacle of an entirely different kind. There, the self-proclaimed UFO researcher took the floor, and alongside him were two mummified specimens. Specimens that Maussan boldly declared were corpses of aliens. You heard that right, corpses of aliens. The two specimens, as per reports, were found in Peru in 2017. That's as per Maussan. They are tiny in stature and chalky in color. And what's more, each have three-fingered hands and what appear to be shrunken heads. The videos from the event have now gone viral. People are stunned. Some are excited. Some are fearful, mostly curious. Maussan has declared under oath that these are non-human beings and not part of our terrestrial evolution. The corpses were reportedly buried at a remote site in Peru. They are reportedly about 1,000 years old. That's right, the researchers have done carbon testing as well. It was done at the National Autonomous University of Mexico. But here's the thing, these researchers have distanced themselves from Maussan's claim. And then there are those who are skeptical, and for good reason. Maussan has a history, after all, of making bold claims, claims that often flirt with the realm of pseudoscience. He has frequently featured on TV and YouTube with somewhat sensational claims. His latest presentation has brought into sharp focus the growing interest around extraterrestrial life. And this curiosity is partly fueled by the recent efforts of American authorities to peel back the shroud of secrecy, long engulfing government programs dedicated to the study of unexplained phenomena. Now back to the session in Mexico. There were other speakers as well, including one Ryan Graves, a former fighter pilot in the US Navy. Graves shared a detailed account of his close encounter with a mysterious flying object. He said it resembled a sphere enclosing a cube. Graves had testified earlier this year as well before the US Congress on a similar topic. He says that such encounters are grossly underreported. But he was not happy with how the event unfolded in Mexico. He said he was deeply disappointed with the so-called stunt. And he's not the only one expressing skepticism after all. Others have also raised doubts regarding the claims. It stems from a number of unresolved questions, including the mysterious origins of the mummified specimens. It's because there are some loose ends here. For example, the origins of the mummified specimens. How were they brought to Mexico from Peru? Are they genuinely from Peru? Regrettably, we lack answers to these questions. According to Peruvian news reports, Mossad became aware of these mummies in 2017, courtesy a Peruvian tomb raider. And this revelation raises further questions about the credibility of the specimens. And upon closer examination, some experts in Peru have contended that these mummies were crafted using a composite of human and animal bones, plant fibers, and synthetic adhesives. And this leaves us with even more questions than answers. In the end, the mystery surrounding these mummified remains far from solved. We are still in the search of comprehensive information and answers, and that's why we end with this question. Are you a believer or are you a skeptic? Last night on the show, we told you about Jaahnavi Kandula. We told you how the US cop joked about her death, the lack of basic respect for human life. Tonight, we are asking for accountability and justice. The police officer in question, Daniel Oderer, has reportedly tried to justify his despicable comments heard on the body cam. Will the government give justice to Kandula's family? Who will take accountability? Our next report getting you all the details.
Yeah, just write a check. Yeah, $11,000. She was 26 anyway. She had limited value.
She had limited value. They should just write a check. Such words were thrown around by Officer Daniel Oderer after hearing about Indian student Jaahnavi Kandula's death. Let's show you the body cam footage.
Yeah, I mean, he's going 50. That's not out of control. That's not reckless for a trained driver. But she is dead. No, it's a regular person. Yeah, just write a check. Just... Yeah, $11,000. She was 26 anyway. She had limited value. Just write a check.
That was Oderer talking to the president of the Seattle Police Officers Guild, Mike Solon. How did Solon accept such behavior? Was he also taking the young girl's death as a joke? You see, Jaahnavi's death was also by the hands of the police. She was killed by a speeding police patrol car. New Delhi has urged Washington to carry out a thorough investigation into the case. Senior U.S. officials say that the incident is being taken very seriously and that they are monitoring the investigation to ensure adequate accountability. Reports say Oderer has tried to justify his comments by saying that I intended the comment as a mockery of lawyers. I was imitating what a lawyer tasked with negotiating the case would be saying and being sarcastic to express that they shouldn't be coming up with crazy arguments to minimize the payment.
Yeah, just write a check.
How did this suddenly become a mockery of lawyers? He never mentions lawyers in the body cam footage. According to reports, Oderer has claimed that the comments were not made with malice or a hard heart. But why make them at all? Now the Seattle mayor, Bruce Harrell, has released a letter and says that the officer doesn't reflect the feelings of the city. But again, what about accountability? Indian-American Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal has said, I hope to see justice for Jaahnavi Kandula's family and accountability for those involved. It is truly saddening to see what Jaahnavi's family is going through. Her uncle says that the family has nothing to say, except I wonder if these men's daughters or granddaughters have value. A life is a life. The name Jaahnavi Kandula needs to be remembered. There needs to be accountability, and a strong message has to be sent out. Till then, justice for Jaahnavi Kandula will remain our rallying cry. And the outrage will continue to grow. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
walking on the road, on public transport, at a music festival, at a club, at school, at college, at work, in operation theatres, and now even on live television. Women's boundaries are violated. They are groped, harassed, raped. But are we really listening? Are we calling it out? Have we normalized it beyond measure? Don't stay silent. Every bad touch, every whistle, every catcall counts. Call them out.
A Spanish journalist was groped on live television. Isa Balado was reporting on a Madrid robbery. A man had the audacity to violate her while she was on air. You heard that right. She was violated while she was on air. Have a look at the video yourself. It's infuriating. Balado was out reporting when a man approached her from behind. He touched her bottom. Balado brushed him off. She maintained her composure and continued to do her job, despite getting groped. But she kept her profession first. And that man did not budge. He kept standing beside her with a smug look on his face, as if he had done something to be proud of. The anchor intervened. He asked the reporter if she got harassed. Balado was visibly uncomfortable. The anchor asked her to put the quote-unquote idiot on camera. The reporter turned to the man who harassed her and confronted him. The man outright denied doing it. He said sorry as if it could right his wrong. And he did not even stop there. Before leaving, he ruffled her hair. Minutes later, he approached her again, saying something with a smile on his face, doing hand gestures. Can you believe the sheer audacity of this man? Just how entitled and sick do you have to be to do something like this? The man was soon arrested by the Spanish police. But now I want to ask, where is a woman safe if not even on live television? And this, by the way, is not the first time it has happened, of course. Jenny Hermoso got kissed without consent with millions watching. We know there are worse things happening. Women are catcalled, groped, harassed, raped, murdered almost every day. It could be happening as I talk. Most of the time, it's not caught on camera, not even reported or talked about. And this is absolutely unfortunate. But that's exactly what we want to change here. You see, we had the choice to not do the story. But we chose to do it because we want to call abusers out. Be it groping or rape, a violation is a violation. Jenny Hermoso was sexually assaulted by Luis Rubiales, the president of Spain's Football Federation. He was a man in power, and he was not backing down. One interesting thing is these men are confident. Luis Rubiales did not budge from his narrative. There was national outcry. FIFA, politicians, media, influencers, victims of sexual abuse were calling him out. But he called the critics idiots. He said the kiss was consensual. He even claimed that he had asked Hermoso before doing it. He adamantly said he will not resign. And mind you, this was after his 90-day suspension. Ultimately, Rubiales had to step down. Why? Because the clamor did not die down. It only got stronger. The media did not forget. Women of Spain did not forget. They kept raising their voice. Hermoso also stood her ground, and justice was eventually served. The man who harassed Isa Balado also denied wrongdoing. He was caught on camera groping her, yet he said he did not touch Balado's bottom. In the end, he too was arrested. We admit it's not so simple every time. The problem is so deep-rooted that it almost feels painful to talk about it. But that is where the problem lies. Talking about it is the very first step. We need to do it right, and we need to do it often. So let's talk about it. The menace begins early when women are just girls. About 15 million adolescent girls have experienced forced sex globally. Some 45% to 55% of women have faced sexual harassment since the age of 15 in the European Union. 1 in 3 women worldwide have experienced physical or sexual violence, mostly by an intimate partner. Every 68 seconds, an American is sexually assaulted. Every 15 minutes, an Indian woman is raped. In Spain, there are about 400,000 incidents of sexual violence in a year. 100,000 of them involve minors. Harrowing, to say the least. This time, a reporter was groped. The same man could go on and rape another woman. If you normalize it today, it may have consequences tomorrow. So do not tolerate it. You can show your resilience in other ways. Whether you are commuting or at home, whether you are out partying or at work, break the silence, call them out. Our next story is about something that evokes a wide range of emotions. For some, it is a staple. For many, it is a part of their identity. For others, it's something that they cannot do without. I'm talking about breads. We know they come in several forms, whichever side of the fence you are on, whether you love them or hate them or just cannot imagine your lives without them. The fact is, they are just about everywhere. And for Asia, they are emerging as the new soft power. Let me tell you how. First, let's talk about Malaysia's roti canai. It's in the news as, according to International Food Guide Taste Atlas, Malaysia's roti canai is the best bread in the world. And that was just the beginning of a heated debate. You see, there's also Singapore's roti prata, and according to many, it's the same as the Malaysian roti canai. But the roti prata finds itself pushed far down on the list, getting a rank of number 12. And the biggest issue is that the paratha, which is the Indian flat bread dish, it basically served as the inspiration for the roti canai and the roti prata. It was even further down, it was placed at the 29th spot as per that list. And this has left bread enthusiasts scratching their heads. The bread wars have led to Taste Atlas even putting out this piece. It was headlined, "No, they are not the same, roti prata versus roti canai." The thing is, no matter which bread you prefer out of all the ones that have been listed and ranked, they are also a soft power tool. Take, for instance, how they made their presence felt at the G20 summit held in New Delhi, during which the grand dinner witnessed President Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcoming world leaders and other guests. There were heads of states attending the dinner, and on the menu were dishes showing India's rich and diverse culinary traditions. The Indian breads served at the dinner were Mumbai Pav. For those who do not know, it's an onion seed flavoured soft bun containing milk and wheat flour. And there was also bakar khani. Simply described, it is a cardamom flavoured sweet flatbread. It contains milk, sugar and wheat. And the thing is, India's breads are world renowned. Take the naan bread, for example. For those of you watching from India, I'm sure naan bread is more than just that. It's an emotion. All said and done, India's breads have been going places, and no matter where you stand in the bread wars, breads are the new Asian soft power. And they are more than just a culinary delight. They stand as delicious ambassadors, showcasing their country's rich flavors. She is a princess, he is a self-styled shaman. It's a match made in superstition, if not heaven. I'm talking about Norwegian princess Martha Louise and her fiancé Durek Verrett. The duo has set down a date for their wedding, and they are going to get married next summer in the village of Geiranger. Surrounded by mountains, it's going to be a royal wedding like none other. not for its pageantry, but because of the couple. They are one of a kind after all, with faint resemblance to Ed and Lorraine Warren from The Conjuring. For years, the Norwegian princess has claimed that she can talk to angels. Verrett, on the other hand, can communicate with a broad range of spirits, as has been claimed. The couple toured Norway in 2019 as the Princess and the Shaman. They promoted their unfounded medical practices and beliefs. Last year, the princess relinquished her royal duties to pursue her real passion full-time. And now she runs an alternative medicine business with her fiancé. What sort of business is this? One that claims to cure COVID-19 with medallions. You heard that right. Durek Verrett sells these medallions for $222. He calls them Spirit Optimizer. In his book, Spirit Hacking, he went so far as to claim that cancer was a choice. And that's not all. He also claims to have risen from the dead and to have predicted the 9/11 attacks in the US 2 years before they took place. But mind you, Mr. Verrett acknowledges that his beliefs can be uncomfortable for some. But Verrett does not hesitate from calling this criticism racism. And his lover, the Norwegian princess, also says that research-based knowledge is important, but she believes alternative medicine is an important supplement. And that's why she started a school that aimed to help people get in touch with their angels. Once the couple is married, Verrett will move to Norway and will join the royal family, although he will not have a title. But who needs a royal title anyway? Verrett is known by many names. Some call him an imposter. Some call him a charlatan. Others a quack. He calls himself a sixth-generation shaman and is marrying a princess who shares his interests. Do you know about Karin Neißel? She is a former foreign minister of Austria, now moving to St. Petersburg. I'm talking about the Austrian diplomat living in Russia while Europe continues to slap sanctions on Moscow. In fact, she even flew her ponies to Russia. How? Through a Russian military transport plane. Why exactly and how exactly did this happen? It surely seems like Putin and Karin are good friends. Even amid the media blasting Russia and Putin, the man still maintains friendship among Europe's elite, it seems. So what connection do the two really have, and why is she moving to St. Petersburg? Our next report getting you all the details.
Although Russia has faced a series of sanctions, Karin Neißel is symbolic of how Putin is still friends with Europe's creamy layer. Who is that? Well, Neißel is the former foreign minister of Austria and has now moved to St. Petersburg. And not just that, she flew her ponies from Syria to Russia. How? Through a Russian military transport plane. It's true, her friend Vladimir Putin has allowed that to happen. She said that since there are sanctions, a military plane was her only option. Reports say that the aircraft had earlier come under sanctions for transporting mercenaries of the Wagner Group. So why did she move? Reports say that Neißel will run a think tank at St. Petersburg University. The think tank called Gorky Center is made to help define the policies for the Russian Federation. Why would the ex-Austrian foreign minister help curate Russian policies? You see, Neißel is known to have connections with Russia. She was Austria's foreign minister from 2017 to 2019 and had been appointed by the Freedom Party, which is known for its close contacts with Russia. Reports say Neißel is a regular commentator on Russian state-backed news channel RT and has also been a board member of the state-owned oil company Rosneft. She also made headlines in 2018 when she was seen dancing with Putin at her own wedding. Opposition parties accused Neißel of undermining the joint EU foreign policy by inviting Putin. Despite all the criticism and accusation, the Austrian diplomat recently attended the Eastern Economic Forum, an event which aims to encourage investment in Russia's Far East. In a moment that stood out, Knaisel was seen falling asleep while Putin was giving the keynote speech to the forum. With Knaisel moving to St. Petersburg, what's happening behind the scenes? Are Putin and Knaisel working towards a bigger agenda? Will Knaisel assist Russia in the war through her think tank? How will Europe react to this? Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Here's a question worth pondering upon. Why is attendance, that age-old metric straight out of our school days, making a surprising comeback in the workplace? You see, while some employers are sweetening the deal with perks and incentives, others are taking a more drastic turn. They are tying in-person attendance to one's performance reviews. But what really is with this obsession with attendance, and what does it truly mean for the workforce? In a world where flexible work arrangements have not only proved to be successful, but have also become the new norm in the years of the pandemic, the relevance of attendance is under scrutiny. Does physically being in the office necessarily equate to heightened productivity, or is it merely about the appearance of productivity? Let's do a deep dive. In the latest, Google and JP Morgan have warned their staff their office attendance will be factored in their performance evaluations. A US law firm informed the employees that fewer days in the office would result in lower bonuses. And now tech giants Meta and Amazon have told employees that they are now monitoring badge swipes with potential consequences for the workers who don't comply with the attendance policies. The consequences for not swiping in? Job loss. And it appears that increasingly workers across sectors are barreling towards the same fate. But it's not surprising. It's a return to the norm after all. It's ingrained in us since our childhood. Perfect attendance was seen as a badge of honor. Even at workplaces before the pandemic, remote work was rare. Employees were expected to be physically present at their desks. And so the obsession with attendance has been a mainstay of the workplace culture for decades now. But you see, in the post-pandemic world, flexible arrangements have proven to be working, if not more productive. But attendance is still entrenched as a core metric. Companies argue that in-person teamwork fosters innovation and collaboration. They say that remote work might hinder that. And there's also the concern of preserving corporate culture and identity. But is it just corporate anxiety and a desire for control? I guess the question I'm asking is attendance everything that you look for in an employee? Of course, teamwork is important, pushing for innovation as well. But then is attendance in office the answer to success? Because if success is the end goal, then workplaces need to evolve with time. And mandatory attendance policies can burden employees in a way, especially those with young children, disabilities, or long commutes. And for these groups, remote work has offered a more balanced work-life dynamic. Let's look at the science. I'm going to cite research conducted last year. Research from our labs found that remote or hybrid employees were 22% happier than workers in an office. And they also stayed in their jobs longer. Remote workers had less stress, more focus, and were found to be more productive as compared to when toiling away in the office. Working from home led to better work-life balance. It was more beneficial for the physical and mental well-being of the employees. That was one study. Let's look at another. A study from Ergotron sampled 1,000 full-time workers. The study found that hybrid workplace models have empowered employees, helping them to reclaim physical health as well as mental health benefits as well. A total of 56% of employees cited mental health improvements, better work-life balance, and more physical activity. So you see, despite evidence that remote work promotes diversity, inclusion, job satisfaction, many organizations still stress on attendance, and workers fear that non-compliance could harm their job security and their career in the long run. But some employees are pushing back. the employer's insistence on office returns could backfire, eroding company culture and morale. And beyond workers, others are questioning the relevance of attendance policies. Even in schools, parents are advocating for a reduced emphasis on attendance when it comes to measuring success, challenging the age-old notion that physical presence trumps actual performance. In the end, clinging on to mandatory office attendance risks missed opportunities, decreased productivity, and lower employee satisfaction. It's time to rethink the outdated notion that physical presence defines work. On that note, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off, leaving you with Gravitas images. Thanks very much for watching.
소령님보다 나이가 22살이나 어렸으나 제도이적 의리에 감격하여 깊이 몰입을 희귀하는 김일성 동지를 이 술래 동지는 다함없는 흠모의 점을 표시했습니다.
대표단을 인솔하시고 와르샤와에 도착했습니다.
India's global voice.